Today we have a little bit of a gem for you all regarding the Obi-Wan Kenobi writers. And I know
No, I thought we were done.
No,
No, Marcus! I thought we were finished.
we're not.
No, I thought we were done.
All right, Nathan. Calm down. You calm down.
Oh, I thought we were done with that, but okay.
We are not done because you guys may have done a lot of stuff with Kenobi, but I haven't really had my turn as well. So, and besides, what is wrong when we can hear these beautiful writers? Let's just listen to them and see what they said, because I'm sure that they will admit some failure. They will, justify their changes, and maybe it all fits together in their heads. But that worked out well for the Rings of Power guys. So let's just see how it goes, shall we?
Yeah, we've given them our problems. We've told them, hey, this is the issues with the story. Let's see if they learn from this. I'm curious to know if any of them will take back the constructive feedback. So I'm keen, Marcus. Tell me the article. What's happening here?
Obi-Wan Kenobi writer frustrated by Disney Plus show's canon restrictions. Yep.
Oh, wait, the canon restrictions.
Yes, the canon
restrictions. So you mean
restrictions.
things, law or things in the world previously established?
Yeah, both. Just everything.
But they didn't follow that.
No, they didn't, but they were still restricted by it.
Well, no, they weren't, because they had Leia hang out with Obi-Wan, know who he was.
Yeah, but they felt they were restricted by it. Okay?
But they weren't, because Obi-Wan and Vader fought and things with the Force, and I mean, if you had read Legends at all, you'd realize the story was way better than what they made on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
But okay, sure.
Let's just get into their quotes. We'll go. By the way, this guy, his name's Andrew Staten. This guy directed WALL-E, and he did some writing on Finding Nemo and a bunch of other Pixar films. Just so you know, good writers can be tainted by this stuff as well.
Or good directors can be bad writers.
Or good directors, yeah.
I mean, we saw that with the prequels. George Lucas.
Yes.
I mean, I'm actually kind of confused. Is he a good writer or director? Actually, I think he's just a visionary man, because when you think about the scripts
He's
he
an
wrote,
ideas guy.
yeah, like the execution of the films weren't the best, and I don't think the script that the actors had to read wasn't good either. That's a whole other bad thing here, but apparently a guy who directed WALL-E can't really write 2 episodes of Kenobi.
Yeah, so he basically is in this article complaining. And here's his quotes. At first he says, "That was the blessing and the curse of it," regarding Kenobi. It's like, one, you're geeking out that you get to type Vader says this and Kenobi says that. You want to say something already?
No, I just think that
Sure.
it's just very cringe, where like the writing script, and then Vader says, "Hey Reva, you're right. Okay."
Yeah.
Kenobi says, "Hello there. I'm not a Jedi stormtrooper. No, I'm with this little girl here, Leia. Oh, whoopsie. Didn't mean to say your name."
They turned Star Wars into Discount The Last of Us. Love it.
Yeah, because it couldn't be like Mandalorian, with a father figure and a son. It had to be a father figure and a daughter.
Of course. Anyway, you pause and say, "I can't believe I'm actually getting paid to type this." Yeah, I'm shocked.
I'm shocked that anyone got a paycheck after writing that script.
It doesn't even feel like they wrote a script. It's just like
they didn't. I don't think.
as much planning went into Kenobi as the planning went into She-Hulk.
It's that same.
Yeah, I went there.
It is. Look at the chase scene. If you had any form of brevity or care for your art, you would not have anything as cheesy or as embarrassing as that chase scene. Just in terms of like sitting back with the producers, they said that's all right. What?
Okay, so I have a theory that Kathleen Kennedy is drunk half the time and just doesn't care, and just make it ideological, fill it with feminist stuff. I don't care what else you do.
Yeah, basically.
Anyway, they go on to say, "I can't believe these words may be said." Okay. Yeah, I was shocked as well. I couldn't believe half the words that they said. "Have you come to destroy me?" And Vader just walks. Vader chased Kenobi. I want you all to remember that. Just remember that. But then another part of you, it has to go through such a rigorous, like, does that fit canon? Okay, do you believe for a second that these people actually sat down every time they wrote something and were like, does this fit canon?
I think, okay, here's what I believe, because I know with Jedi Fallen Order, the most recent Star Wars game, they had a really tough time writing the story because a lot of the Star Wars lore people were like, nah, can't do that, nah. Like, they were really restrictive of that.
Oh, no.
And it still was a pretty good game, I think.
No, that's the insane part. Why aren't they doing that at Disney?
Well, here's what I think they did here, right? They pushed the envelope as far as they could in terms of what they could get away with.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's obvious.
So I reckon they'll... And, you know...
They really pushed. They broke everything.
And I think as Disney being kind of the oversight more for that, and they're the ones that like, okay, if you don't let us do this, we're not going to give you money. Like, that because wouldn't Disney be the one paying those Star Wars reps?
You would think.
Technically.
You would think so.
So it could be like, hey, we actually own your jobs, so if you don't let us do what we want to do, then you're fired.
Yeah.
Where in terms of Respawn and them making the Star Wars game,
yeah,
there wasn't any of that happening there. They didn't like Respawn as a game company didn't have the rights over the jobs of those people in charge of keeping the law. So maybe Disney is just like, well, if you say no, then we'll fire you. Because I mean, they did it with Rings of Power stuff. They hired people.
Yeah, Tom Shippey, get lost.
Yeah, be in charge of Canon, and they're like, oh, nah, stuff ya. So I reckon maybe that's why Disney's properties have been so awful with Star Wars in terms of canon, is because they oversee the jobs of those people who would say, you know, speak out, whose job it is to be like, don't do that breaks canon.
Or canon with Marvel. By the way, stay tuned for that movie. All right. And I feel like it's bittersweet. The reason that happens is because people care. But it also kind of doesn't allow sometimes things to venture beyond where maybe they should tell a better story. Better story.
So are you then suggesting that the original trilogy isn't that good of a story, that you could write something better?
Well, they did feel they have to improve it with this show.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, all this prequel content leads to the original trilogy with Kenobi.
Oh, yeah.
And all the sequel content with Mando and stuff, that I guess they have more freedom with, but not really, because they screwed themselves over with the actual sequel movies.
They really did. And that's the thing. Mandalorian, not that big of a fan of it, personally. But just remember, people, it still leads to TLJ.
Yeah. Everything leads to The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker until they openly come out and say, sorry, we didn't mean to. We apologize, which they're not going to, because they can't even apologize for crapping their TV shows now.
No, they can't. Have
you seen a single writer, director, showrunner of any of these shows have called out and said, you know what, we're wrong. We'll try and do better. They will say things weren't as close to the law, like with the Rings of Power. They say, we'll try to be more canon related next time. No, you won't. No. The script's already done. What are you talking about? That's just lies to get you to watch the next season. But I've never actually seen anyone, you know, with She-Hulk, even when they said the CGI is bad, they're like, yeah, it's because everyone just wants to own women. Society thinks that they should just own the image of women because that's what society teaches us.
That's the message I got from watching those clips. Which,
that's why I didn't like the visual effects in She-Hulk. It wasn't because it gave me nightmares. Hulk's son? What? But then, guess what? Hulk's son, right, isn't a female. So does that mean that also the society has this ownership over male bodies as well? Nothing of that was said.
We're not talking about that.
Nothing of that was said. So again, just going back here when they're saying with canon and whatever, and you know, to tell a better story, you're basically saying that you could write something better than George did back in the 1970s.
These people wish they could be that good.
Yeah,
they wish they were that talented. But here's the problem. They are so deluded that they actually believe they are that talented.
Yeah.
Because they said, oh, it allows for us to tell a better story.
And what do they mean by better? Do they mean it's more... Because here's the thing, right?
Yeah, we got to focus on their definition of better.
What is better? Does it mean that it has more progressive ideas? Do they focus on different characters? Mm-hmm. Is it actually a genuinely better story in terms of plot, pacing, payoff? The 3 Ps. I'm cool.
You want to coin it?
That is...
Coin it!
Nice watch! The 3 Ps!
All right, I want to see that a lot more now.
Yeah.
You got to say it more.
Yeah. Sure. I gotta write it down so I get it in the right order.
Yep.
But yeah, so that's basically what they're saying in that comment there.
Yeah, and also I think it's the whole idea of we can have more action scenes, we can do more crazy things. Let's just have a ball. We want to do everything. It's like, but you gotta have a line eventually. You gotta calm down, because that's what they wanted to do clearly with Kenobi. They couldn't do what I don't know. I'll speak for myself here. I wanted a self-contained story, just him trying to hide being a Jedi,
Yeah.
and getting into like everyday kind of things.
I wanted. Well, there's and it just so many things. Like, okay, I understand that Star Wars isn't a perfect story in terms of canon.
Far from it.
Like, there are definitely plot holes and things wrong with it. But for me personally, with Star Wars, the thing that gets me just so engrossed in it is the themes and the elements in terms of, you know, what it stands for. I love Star Wars because it's about a boy fighting good and evil. His father is evil, and he sees the good in him and overcomes that. Like, Episode 6 will be my all-time favorite because of that last scene when there's that battle between Luke and Vader. Okay, you can criticize how they got there. You can criticize the composition.
Ewoks!
Yeah, Ewoks. You can criticize people say, you know, it's too dark, it's not very well lit, it's a badly filmed scene.
I haven't heard that one.
But that fight between good and evil of Luke saying, I'm not going to fight you, Father, and then he, you know, Maleficent say, oh, maybe your sister will. And then Luke lashes out. That fight between, like, that's what I love about Star Wars.
That is an all-timer kind of scene.
Like,
it's impressive.
It has these elements that are relatable to us as a human society, and with all Star Wars, as long as it has that, okay, that's why I love the games, the TV shows, because although they might be perfect in terms of world building, they are perfect in the moral message that they're trying to convey.
Absolutely.
For me. And so the thing that frustrates me here...
Well, it's hollow. You can go from there. It's really hollow what they're doing now, because they've traded out all that deep thematic material
the reason
for
why
cheap spectacle and progressive points.
So what I would have liked to have in this Kenobi TV show are those elements of, okay, Kenobi's lost.
Oh, yeah.
And it's everything, like and all of his hope is pushed into Luke.
Yep.
He's just like, okay, this is the last hope I have for this religion that I gave my life to. Everyone's dead.
Yep.
I just need to stay in hiding and make sure this guy can live on, because... And Kenobi was an amazing Jedi. Amazing.
Yeah,
like, and he would never... Like, what breaks my heart is that he... with the Mandalorians, when he was on Mandalore with... I think it was Mace Windu? Back in... whatever days in Clone Wars.
Okay, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, with I forgot her name, but basically
Satine?
Yeah, like had a girlfriend.
Yes.
And
yeah, okay, I'm glad we're talking about this.
Like,
yeah, basically,
the element where Satine, she's like, it breaks my heart. Kenobi's like looking at, or not looking at her, but basically implies, if you love me enough, I will leave the Jedi Order for you.
Yeah,
I will leave everything behind. And Satine just says, no, we have our duties. We need to keep to it. And I think that led Kenobi on a trajectory of being, like, for his duty, honorable. Even when things got hard and tough, he always kept the Jedi code. You know, all these, like, you know, Ahsoka, Count Dooku, Anakin, they saw the issues and they left. Some of them worse things than others. But Kenobi stuck through. He's like, you know, I'm going to fix it from within. And there's these elements of like, and then you get Kenobi TV show where he's depressed, having nightmares, and then Organa's like, hey, my daughter's missing. And he's like, all right, I'll just leave my one objective my master gave me of protecting Luke Skywalker to save this sister, which is being stupid. And then it just unravels into more and more and more and more and more stupidity. As the show goes on.
Makes you wonder why Bale couldn't just get all of his guards to go out looking.
Yeah, and like...
Or hire a really good bounty hunter. I'm sure Boba Fett was free.
I'm sure he was. And if one of the Skywalkers are in danger, it'd be really dumb to leave the other one. Also, you're ruining all of hope. All of it. Like...
Yeah, it really does, because... And that's the thing. As a result of him being an absolute moron and leaving... Reva almost kills Luke.
Yes! We're trying to get me started on Reva. You want to write a good story? Learn how to write good characters, okay? So, Reva, I think, is based off of the Old Republic Jedi Sith Lord Raven.
Really?
Yeah, Raven. They just took away the N.
Oh, okay.
Because he has an arc as well where he was once a Jedi.
Yeah.
Then he becomes a Sith, and then becomes a Jedi again.
Oh.
And it's an amazing arc. It's beautiful. If you guys even just watch lore videos on YouTube about Darth Raven.
Or Revan, are we talking about?
Revan.
Ah,
So
okay.
Reva is stuffing me up. Revan. Okay. That is an amazing story, and they basically tried to copy that with Reva, once being a Jedi, then becomes an Inquisitor, and then at the end, for some random reason, which we still don't know her.
We don't know the thought process, right? We can't figure it out.
She wasn't on anyone's side. She was annoying with the Inquisitors. She was like, I hate Darth Vader, I'm going to serve him anyway. And then she changed her side and it's like, oh, I'm going to fight Obi-Wan if you showed up. Like, they just... And so they say they can write a better story. They can't even do that.
No, they can't.
They can't.
And they'll never write something as deep as the stuff that's in the Old Republic or the stuff that's even in Clone Wars. And by the way, Clone Wars has got its problems, but the fact that they gave Kenobi someone that he really cared about and someone that he had to give up, basically doing what Anakin couldn't, gives you an indication as to how just devoted that character was.
Yeah.
And how much, well, basically he was just pure Jedi. He is the definitive Jedi. You can't get better than him. Maybe Yoda, admittedly, but when you think of the classic one,
I think
it's Obi-Wan.
If we have the Star Wars debate here, I think Kenobi is better because he had more human flaws and he was kind of more forgiving. Yoda, Kenobi, because he was trained by Qui-Gon as well.
Oh yeah, that's another cool element.
Could see the issues in the Jedi Order.
Oh yeah,
like he knew the problems, and so he was trying to fix where like Yoda just overlooked those things, couldn't tell what they were. All he saw was darkness and was like, doing wrong, I do not know. So I think Kenobi is a better Jedi.
Yeah, he is. But screw all that.
Yeah,
they wanted to tell their story. Anyway, so they basically go on to say, so it can really sometimes handicap what I think are better narrative options. Adhering to the law handicaps them to doing things that are... Here's the problem, all right? Stuff like Clone Wars, Old Republic, even the prequels to an extent, they capitalize on the law when they get it right. For instance, the whole idea of, okay, in episode 2, Dooku was introduced of the prequels. Dooku mentored Qui-Gon. So that is taking a lore point and then taking it to another level and essentially deepening Qui-Gon as a character.
Yeah.
And as a result, it further deepens Dooku and Kenobi's connection when they're in that scene where Dooku's trying to turn Obi-Wan to his side.
Yeah.
That's an example of what you can do when you have this lore to build on.
Yeah.
When you just go, screw it, I don't care, I want to tell my story, it's supreme arrogance, and you've just cut off a great amount of opportunities that you could have told narratively.
You're right, you're shooting yourself in the foot. You're leaving out the opportunities you could have had with Canon, because guess what? All this work has been done for you in terms of the writing room.
Yeah.
All you need to do is put the pieces in together to have an amazing, emotional, empowering story. Something that gets people going, oh, that was such a good story, I love that!
Something that they would remember.
Yeah!
And actually associate with the trilogies.
They would fight to the death, because these fans are hardcore, okay?
Exactly.
We're hardcore to saying that this TV show is amazing.
Yep.
You could have had us on your side had you written a more coherent story. But instead you made crap.
Because you didn't want to build on the lore, because it's too hard.
But it was also really too hard to make an interesting villain or anti-villain. And
look, we still don't know what Reva was supposed to be, okay? All I saw her was a shouty person, that's it.
Yeah, just someone who's really mad at everything.
Do you remember how she... when she first encounters Obi-Wan, she does like this, what was it called? The Warriors... speech with like Obi-Wan.
Obi-Wan.
Oh, so bad. What the hell were they thinking?
And I mean, because he's
all she needed was those little bottles.
Yeah. They say they can write a better story, but you can't even write a decent story that makes sense, because it's like, okay,
you can't even do a single character arc.
Yeah, like, sure, Reva knew who Anakin and Vader was.
How?
I mean, sure, Anakin stabbed her. Oh, don't think we stunned that. Vader also stabs her, and she still lives!
I guess that memo didn't apply to poor Qui-Gon.
Yeah! I said this in our reviews.
Oh, yeah.
Qui-Gon is dead!
Yep.
Han Solo is dead!
Yep.
When you get stabbed in the side, you are dead!
Yeah, you can.
Why are you not dead, Reva?
You've got a hole in your gut.
Yeah!
I don't think that's getting any better.
No. And the fact, right, okay, and here's the other dumb thing. Vader is meant to be the most powerful, menacing villain, right? And he is smart.
Yeah.
He's clever, because he's Anakin. He has wits about him. You would think,
Not in this
hey,
show. Not in this show.
this youngling somehow survived me killing her back in the day. I'm going to chop off her head this time, like how I would do with lots of other characters, Dooku, to make sure she doesn't come back. But instead, he just stabs her in the same place as last time. And it's like, all right,
Nathan,
job's done.
No. He wanted her to be alive.
Why?
I don't know. Ask the people that defend the show.
So we can have a series with Reva as the main character. No one's gonna watch it.
Oh, no. I don't want
It's gonna be a Miss Marvel, like... No, it's gonna be worse than Miss Marvel. It has to be. Like...
Well, that's the thing.
And here's the thing... Okay, sorry. I'll just sum my point. Having that story with Reva will then give them this freedom they want and deserve, but I doubt they will have any of the action or emotional impact or just things we like in stories, you know? Like, not going to have any of that because these Disney Plus shows have been garbage.
Consistently as well. It's kind of surprising.
Like, they are just all atrocious filler. That
seems like it.
It is a waste of time to watch these shows, I think, personally.
You would be better off staring at a wall. And just imagining stuff in your head.
There are so many,
happening.
like, I will agree, okay? Comic books are amazing.
Oh, yeah.
TV shows and movies are amazing. To a certain degree, okay? And I get people who watch, like, B-grade movies that are really bad. But guess what?
I'm one of those people.
You have a good time with it. And it's a social experience. That makes sense. But when they're ruining stuff that was meant to be inspiring.
Oh, yeah.
And turning it into dribble like this, and they're just feeding you the IP and nothing else, because you know, there are no elements in Star Wars now that make me excited for it.
The thing that bums me out is because this is what I was... Look, I knew Disney Star Wars was not going to get this story right, but in my head, I was thinking of a potential way you could do this. There is a lot of... There's some unfinished business between Vader and Kenobi. Something that I was hoping to see was, instead of Obi-Wan being an absolute coward, I would have liked to have seen him actually fulfill that one line that comes up in Return of the Jedi that Vader says, where he's like to Luke, Obi-Wan once fought as you did. We didn't get that in Revenge of the Sith because George kind of forgot. But it would have been great to get it in this show, and this was an opportunity that they could have taken to really explore that idea and explore why Obi-Wan eventually gave up, why he eventually saw the only path to getting any piece done is Vader's got to die. We didn't get any of that. And that's the frustrating part. There is so much potential that this show had that capitalizes on the lore that we had and that is allowed to explore it all. Like, I know we're harping on this point for a while, but it's because it's important. They think they could have told a better story without the lore restrictions, when you would have actually told a better story with them.
Yeah,
because restrictions breed creativity. That is how it always has been.
You know why New Hope is so good? Because of all of the restrictions George Lucas had.
That's true. He did not have an infinite budget. He did not have infinite time, and he was on a short leash regarding the studio, and somehow he managed to do it. Also with Marsha Lucas.
Yeah.
Don't want to discredit her because she knows
saved that
stuff.
movie.
Oh yeah.
Like that's what. Like, the fiery flames of trial and tribulation is what brought Star Wars out into this glory. It's because of all the restrictions they had, all the limitations, and like, despite having some of the smallest budgets for cinema at the time, they invented visual effects never before used.
Yep.
Disney has unlimited amounts of money, and these budgets of these shows are way bigger than Star Wars was back in the day.
Yep.
They can't even do the spectacle that they did that back then. Like,
Yeah.
there was no...
I mean, think about it. That Kenobi fight, the first one was horrible.
It wasn't a fight. It was
pathetic.
It was a stumble and a fall.
I'll be honest. I was watching Kenobi through that time, and when I saw that fight got out on YouTube, the clip, I was like, well, that looks like a cool fan film, I think. And then I watched it, and I'm like, oh no.
You're like,
oh
no.
This is
Disney.
Fan films do it better.
They do.
So bad.
So,
we should probably continue.
but yeah, this is basically my debacle. It was like they're saying, without like no restrictions, narratively you can go wherever. No, because you know what they'd do anyways then? They'd have to establish characters, establish their own lore. Like, you basically have to build another story from the ground up.
We saw this with Rings of Power. They can't do that.
Which takes forever. You've had all these trilogies of movies to build up the story, universe, whatever for you.
They couldn't even do it with the sequels when I think about it. Yeah.
They have all the stuff given to you as a writer saying, okay, here are all these story elements, here's all these beats you can take, here's all the emotional strings you can play on people's hearts. And they're like, I can do better without all of that. The utter disrespect.
I love this guy because he gave us Wall-E, but this guy cannot write. Not anymore. Whatever talent he had, it's been sapped from Disney. You know, that's what Disney, I think, does. Just to all creatives. They must have a machine like in Monsters, Inc. where they just, instead of sucking out screens, they suck out talent.
The creativity life force.
Yeah.
They put it into Disney's like corpse, frozen corpse. And they're like, all right, if we keep doing this, eventually he'll come back.
Yep.
And look, one day he comes back, he's like, what the crap is this?
What have you done? What? Oh, no.
Oh.
Please, Walt, come back. I want you to be revived. You'll do a better job than these absolute muppets. Anyway, let's continue with the next quotes. Staten went on to add that he was frustrated during the writing process due to such continuity restrictions. He referenced Andor as being easier to write for. So we can go into his actual quote now.
Okay, sure.
Because I just want to prime everyone. He thinks Andor would be better to do. A story about a character in a prequel that dies. So it's a prequel to a prequel.
Yeah! No, you're right! In terms of canon, this guy's gonna die soon?
So apparently there's more. No, it's kind of the same thing. It's not that different.
Yeah.
Because Andor still ends up in Rogue One and then is...
Yep.
Or in that case, vaporized by a laser.
Yeah.
So he goes on to say, I was frustrated sometimes, not a lot, I don't believe you, but I just felt it wasn't as conducive to the story. I love it when something like Andor is in a safe spot and it can just do whatever the heck it wants. It can't. It's not allowed to. It's still in the same universe.
They can't destroy the Death Star yet because guess what? It hasn't been built yet. You can't overthrow the Empire. Like, the story always has to end being somewhat sad because guess what? Luke has to come back and save everyone from, save the galaxy, basically. So, you don't have freedom.
No. And that's the thing. Isn't Andor about trying to topple the Empire anyway? It's the same damn story every time! Focus on something else for once! I am sick to death of seeing stormtroopers in every single Disney thing! I want to see something else! I would say do Old Republic, but I don't trust
don't touch it!
I don't trust
Don't touch it!
But I'm over it. I am so...
See, you know what they could easily do to milk money with the Star Wars IP, but also keep us somewhat sane from not breaking lore, canon stuff?
Yeah.
There were some episodes in the Star Wars Visions that were like just weird planet. They have like basically the different cultures understanding what the Force is in their own cultural sense.
Oh, okay.
And so you can still have the Force and Jedi and this and that, but you're on a different planet, you're isolated, and you don't even say what time period it is.
Oh, yeah, that
you
would
just
be
say
worth it.
It is disconnected from all the movies, and that's it.
Yeah.
You can have your own characters and whatever. Do that, Disney.
Oh,
do that.
It'll be so much better than...
I mean, then you can have all your politics and stuff, and we can't get as mad at you for ruining the characters we love. But you won't do that because guess what?
No, you won't.
You won't have that big backing up, names of...
We need
of
old
Kenobi
things. We need
Skywalker.
nostalgia.
They keep saying, we're done with the Skywalker saga. We're done.
No, you're not.
I bet you in the next trilogy, there'll be someone somehow is a Skywalker. And it'll be like, oh yeah, Luke, he had a kid. Oh, Han Solo had a sister. And by Solo, I mean Ben Solo, sorry. Ben Solo had a sister who wasn't in the sequels because she wasn't well represented in that time period. Yeah. I can already tell the headlines for this Star Wars crap. But anyway, those are just...
We're never getting away from stormtroopers and Empire and stuff, are we?
No,
we
because
can't do small stories anymore.
They'll just reinvent the stormtroopers. They'll just keep changing them a little bit, just so they can sell you new merch.
Oh, you know what? Here's a cool idea. How about instead of stormtroopers being mindless idiots, you turn them into actual characters? Oh wait, we tried that and we didn't. We found it too hard. Finn was wasted. Anyway,
He really was.
All right, but I felt, Joby Harold, Obi-Wan Kenobi co-writer and executive producer, aka the person we've got to blame the most, to his credit, kept the torch alive and kept trying to thread the needle so that the story wouldn't suffer. Okay, we gotta stop right there. What? Joby Harold was keeping everything together and trying to thread all the pieces. No, he wasn't. He didn't care.
Because it was a unshambled mess by the end. Okay, I think maybe the first one or two, I was like, all right, we'll see where this will go. It was my, skepticism coming through and being just like, it could get better. But once 3 hit, episode 3, and went downhill there, and the finale. You're trying to tell me that having Reva, and Luke doesn't even know who Ben is, doesn't know what there's so many things now. It's like, Luke had the experience where a Sith Inquisitor went to his house with his aunt and uncle, and his aunt and uncle were like, all right.
Oh, but somehow he's mesmerized by a lightsaber existing.
Yeah, he's like, what's this?
You're almost killed by it.
Do you think Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru would be like, you know what, Tatooine, it's still safe. There was an Inquisitor that came. We're still safe, Ben. No, you're right. Kenobi, we'll just stick around here. It's fine.
It's the definition of just adding Drinker's clip. Nah, it'll be fine.
Yeah, it's just...
I don't know what they were doing.
So yeah, just things like that where it's like you're trying to thread the needle, but your needle is just being poked into your... Oh, I'm so mad!
It just feels like you're stabbing the lore again and again and again, and you just don't care.
No.
I mean, Joby... That's the thing. I'm not sure if you know this. Joby Harold repurposed a lot of stuff that was already done. Just the scripts.
Yeah.
So, I don't know which one would have been worse or better, but apparently, they were going to go for longer and have a whole trilogy of Obi-Wan movies, which, by the way, I'm glad we didn't get it.
I mean, we did get the runtime, so these were abysmal. They promised us hour-long episodes.
Wait, what?
For Kenobi. Kenobi is meant to be Kathleen Kennedy said that, each episode will be an hour long. They weren't. And if you take out the long-as Disney intros of the Star Wars or whatever, and then you have... Because they...
Oh, not to mention the credits. Bloody hell, those credits.
They just pad these shows with, like you said, the credits.
Yeah.
And then you have the Star Wars... And then they have for Kenobi. They just pad it and say, and even with that padding, 48 minutes I think was the longest one. They could, Kathleen's 1 hour long episodes. Here we go. We could easily write hour long episodes.
They were too restricted by the law. They couldn't do much.
You could do so much.
You really could. Hey,
Tony Stark built this in a cave. George Lucas built this in a cave with a box of
great boxes.
And I guess the answer would be, well, I'm not George Lucas. And you're right, you're not.
And you never will be.
No.
Come back, George, please.
Well, that's the thing. Men like George are no longer welcome in Hollywood.
No.
You can't have those visionaries. You can't have that person who would fight, man.
Yeah, he was an absolute maverick going up against studios and everything.
And there was a golden age of cinema back then, where executives weren't as involved in the story. They're just make me some money, Sonny. I don't care what the movie is, as long as it's PG, the kids can go.
I think that was the case in every industry, because there was a documentary I watched by Foo Fighters. Anyone who likes that band, I love you. They were talking about how back in the day, the producers were just grizzled old guys and were just we don't know what this is. We don't know what the kids like. You just go do it, you fellow kid. Here you are. Go. Have all this money, make us something good. And they would make something good because they had freedom. Sure, they had some restrictions here and there, but it was the same thing with George Lucas and Spielberg, all of them, and Cameron, I think. So that age is clearly over.
It's over now.
I think maybe we went into this in the Rings of Power one we did, they hire inexperienced people, I think. Although in this case, this guy's pretty experienced, but they want people they can control just so they can do whatever the hell they want.
Yeah.
So they don't have to think, essentially.
Or fight with those who are creating
fight with
stuff.
those people because people like, I think Lasseter, who had Pixar, they fought constantly to have their stuff done, and eventually they went off and made their own companies. And,
Or, like, Disney back in the day was like, no, Toy Story needs to be a musical. And Lasseter's like, Over
No.
My Dead Body.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, it needs to be a musical. It's a kids show, kids movie with toys. It needs to be a musical. And Lasseter's like, no. And guess what? He was right.
yeah, he was. All right, let's finish off this lovely, lovely quote. But it would please all the people that were trying to keep it in the canon. Okay, so the show would please everyone trying to keep it in canon. Apparently. That's what this guy thinks.
Yeah.
Joby Harold was doing that. He wasn't. Let's just make that clear. And he was saying, but I got some moments in there that I'm very happy with. I know what he's referencing. All the law-breaking things.
Yeah.
That was him. I wonder if this guy was the one that suggested, yeah, we should have Baby Leia.
Or I reckon they just... Their happy canon moments are just Easter eggs.
Oh, jeez. Yep.
That I think that's what their happy moments. Like, you know what? The story, it wasn't anything like the lore, but hey, at least we had reference to a Jedi from back in Clone Wars.
Yeah, I suppose.
Hey, at least we have Leia in there. People like her. She's canon.
By
Leia's
the way,
canon.
I don't know if this sounds harsh. I hated her. I
Yeah,
actually
I did
hated
too.
that little girl. She frustrated me.
Was a Mary Sue out the wazoo.
How was she able to just get into a little vent and fix a complex technical system for
Yeah.
a door? How?
I've got so many things with that. One, big doors like that should have a mechanical lever of some sort, so if the power goes off, you can still open and escape.
No, you need
Secondly,
a midget. You need a midget to go in there.
You need a little girl to go up in there. Secondly, Leia was never a technically savvy person in the original trilogy.
If anything, she was a strategist and a morale booster.
Yeah, I think like Luke and Leia are different parts of both Padme and Anakin.
Actually, yeah, that's a good way to look at it.
Leia has the political side of Padme as well as the strategy, like you said, that Anakin also had. Like, he's a very good planner. Luke was the more tinkering side of Anakin.
Yeah.
And kind of the more force goer sort of guy. But also, I think he had more of the, like, kindness and hope that Padme had. Like, Anakin got very angry at things. That was the darkness within him. And I think Luke had that, like, Padme calming, happy go energy. Like, she had hope. She's like, I'm a politician because I have hope we can fix things.
Yeah.
And Luke had that too. Where here you're basically just shoving a bunch of things that Leia needs in her personality and interests to you know, be a perfect character for us all, to save us.
I hated how spoiled of a brat she acted at every opportunity.
And just how dumb she was. She's like, Obi-Wan, you saved me, yay. No, wait, I don't think no. And then, oh, you saved me using the Force. I'm going to run away anyways. Like,
Yeah, so what we've learned, these writers didn't care.
Yeah.
They were frustrated by it. And the fact that they're like, oh, we're still able to get some moments of canon in there. And I'm sure that kept lore fans
Luke
happy.
on
No, it didn't.
Tatooine.
Oh, yeah, because Luke on Tatooine.
Luke on Tatooine, that's canon.
Oh, yeah, totally.
No, for them, you know what counts as canon?
What? It's going to be good.
Hello there. That was it. They're like, all right.
A bloody meme! It was a star.
Oh, I hated that.
You're right, that might actually be what they were referencing.
But, like, for them, I think canon are just going to be Easter eggs. It's not going to actually be helping the story be good.
What a waste that show was. Really was. And you just got this, like, that's the end of the quotes, people, but they just got this little tagline because Access Media are crap. Is Star Wars continuity hurting its future?
No! Are you freaking kidding me? Continuity is what makes a story... Like, okay. That's like asking, is Rings of Power good because it can't remember what the last scene was? It forgets its own canon and plot points. Because if there's no continuity, it's good, right? It's good if there's no continuity. If it's just all over the place, there's no through lines or arcs of characters and story. If we just forget complete subplots we established in earlier episodes or seasons or whatever, that helps the franchise grow because we don't need to be held back by what is considered just story, definition of story. Beginning, middle, and end. What they want is up, down, forward, back, in whatever order.
Yeah. The most frustrating part about Kenobi is just that they had a golden opportunity to add to Kenobi's arc. They really did.
And I think in terms of...
They just wasted
of Star Wars... Okay, because Disney bought out Star Wars to make money.
Of course.
Okay? And they failed in a lot of the stories. You know, they know the sequels suck.
Quite spectacular.
They know the sequels suck. And so what makes me so angry is that Kenobi was the easiest IP, easiest story to write and get a good reaction off of.
You had the...
All you needed was Kenobi on Tatooine doing badass old Jedi stuff and then being like, and then it leads on into A New Hope. And you could have done seasons, so many seasons of just like awesome...
Little stories
just
as well.
Kenobi...
Just small stuff.
Just doing crap. And I know we're sick of Tatooine, but I'm sorry, you should have started out with Kenobi. Like, then you would have had Tatooine.
Why was Boba Fett just set on Tatooine? That is just baffling beyond belief.
Don't
He's
get me
a
started.
bounty hunter.
Boba Fett. Okay, this isn't about Boba Fett, but I think...
It's just about Disney being incompetent beyond belief with Star Wars.
Yeah. People ask me, how's Boba Fett? I tell them, okay, this is the setup, all right? So, Boba Fett says, bounty hunting. This isn't the life for us. And then at the end of the season, he goes, peaceful life. This isn't the life for us. He starts off saying, I want a peaceful life, ends it with peaceful life, he goes, no, this isn't... What? That wasn't even an arc! That was just... He's just uncontent with his life. Anyways, that's Boba Fett. And that's what these TV shows are now on Disney Plus and Star Wars. They're just crappy filler with awful story writing, terrible dialogue. Terrible dialogue.
Consistently so.
And you know what? If they're more consistent with the canon, as they like to say, I don't care about Easter eggs anymore. Like because this is what frustrates me too. There'll be things like for Rings of Power or Star Wars, and they'll be like 101 Easter eggs that are in the show. And people are like, oh yeah, they put that. They put this road there. This is
Access Media. By the way.
Like, and they think that that's gonna get fans involved. Like, okay, sure. They'll get us to click on the video and be like, oh, look, there's another visionary perspective of this thing that I love in terms of like, a little Easter egg. There's BB-1. No, what was... I forgot the name of... the Fallen Order droid. I forgot his name.
Yeah, I forgot it too.
Is it BD-1? I can't remember. But that was in Boba Fett. That was in Boba Fett. He was like there for a little bit and like, oh cool, I like that droid. But the rest of that show was awful. And again, they're just doing this with all the shows. They sure, it'll, as I was saying before, it'll bring us clicking onto the show to watch it. We're not going to stick around, and our opinions of it aren't going to be very good if that's all you have in terms of substance.
I mean, really, how many people are talking about Kenobi aside from...
Everyone forgot.
They're just like, oh, Vader and Obi-Wan fought. Okay, do you remember anything else? Anything?
Leia was in it. Cute little Leia. Yeah. And I just go, cute. She was annoying. Like, I got nieces and nephews, all right? And they are adorable. They are great. I love them. And they are not annoying.
Yeah, I got some too. And children don't act that irritating.
Yeah,
Unless they are... starts with the parents, I'll just say that.
Well, I guess that tells you a lot about the Organas.
Bail. Bail Organa was an idiot as well. Everyone was an idiot in that show.
In this show, here's the thing. I don't think Bail Organa was an idiot in other renditions of Star Wars.
No, I don't think so either.
But
in this show,
Kenobi made him out to be just...
But hey, we gotta make everyone an idiot. Because
otherwise Leia won't look smart.
Because canon's too hard, alright?
Yeah.
Having everyone be an idiot makes a better story, guys. I swear.
But
anyway, that's it for their quotes.
And I guess that's it for our thoughts too. I don't know if you've got anything else to finish off.
Kenobi's dog crap. It's absolute dog crap. Go watch something else.
Yeah, go back to the Legends. Play the old games.
Old Republic. Go play Old Republic.
Like, it's aged, but they're going to do a remake. And people were a bit annoyed because one of the writers is very progressive, and she was like, "There's problems in the original game.
She's gone.
I'm going to rewrite it."
She's gone, though.
She's gone. She's left. She quit.
But it has also been put on hold indefinitely, so...
But they've switched it to a different studio now.
Oh, okay.
The ones who actually have done good work in the past. So look, fingers crossed, everyone, that we can get at least good Star Wars games. Maybe.
Yeah, at this point, you'll probably get more out of the games than you will out of the shows or the movies. And, yeah.
Because, look,
Anyway.
I've been thirsting for Star Wars a lot.
Yeah.
And so I've been playing Old Republic. Right now I'm playing Jedi Outcast.
Ooh, that's a classic one. Yeah.
Classic games. Look, the graphics are dated.
Yeah,
But
they
guess
are.
what? There's one thing that has that Kenobi doesn't. And that's the Star Wars soundtrack. Okay, the other thing with Star Wars
yeah.
is that it was just the most... Disney are so cheap, they didn't even want to pay for the royalties for Star Wars.
Of course not.
Like, there were... Like, think of the soundtrack in Kenobi. There wasn't any, like... They used Duel the Fates for the trailer. They put their music budget into that one song.
Yeah.
Everything else was just very generic fantasy music. There wasn't actually any Star Wars soundtrack. Old games, though, were smart enough to have the royalties for the Star Wars music.
Yeah.
And while you're shooting stormtroopers and whatever cool stuff, you're hearing Star Wars music playing. So at least that gives me something. And so if you're thirsting for Star Wars, go back to the old stuff, enjoy it.
Hell, even read some of the comics and the books.
Yeah.
The Darth Plagueis book, pretty good. All right, give it a shot.
So...
Don't look for Disney to give you any good Star Wars stuff because they... how long have they had it? What? Hang on a
I think
second.
it was 2008.
We're in 2022. They got in 2008.
I think.
2008?
Was when they got the rights and then they started doing stuff after that. So I think
That means they've had it for almost more than a decade.
Yeah.
And they have done nothing of note.
Yeah.
Well, I suppose it depends on how you define of note. 'Cause they've done something.
They've done.
They've done things.
They've done things. And they're not done yet. And don't you worry, we'll be here.
Oh,
watching,
we will be.
waiting. And you should all be too. So as always, stay on watch.